Hello guys, welcome back to Super Guy Boy Show, and today we are back with another JoJo Bizarre Adventure topical video on Jojolands Chapter 13. And I am super sorry for not being able to upload this review a lot more sooner than I think I should have, but luckily it's out now, and hopefully y'all have read it, been able to consume it, because I have a lot to talk about. And first thing I want to say is that I love this chapter. This chapter was great. It's easily one of my favorite chapters in this part so far, probably my top 5. This is my current ranking of the chapters that we've gotten so far. Before this one, I don't know where I would personally rank it in my top 5, maybe number 4 or number 5, don't know where, but I know I really love this chapter, and there was a lot that happened in it personally in terms of backstory, giving us a bit more insight into Jodio and Dragona, and in terms of showing us what's going to happen in the part later on. And I think the first thing I should start out is the first section of the chapter, Dragona's transphobic adventure. I really like Dragona as a character. I think she's easily one of the best in the part so far, up there with Usagi. Those two are my favorite, Dragona and Usagi. She's just really fun to have around. And I know a lot of people are either confused or don't like her character. Some people are a bit more confused of what her pronouns particularly are, because in the first chapter, Jodio calls Dragona his big brother, even though in the monologues he keeps saying that she likes to wear women's clothing and get body modifications. I take that as mostly that Dragona's likely either a trans woman, like she's just a trans woman and perhaps just transitioned, or maybe that she's perhaps non-binary. However, I'm more of the fact that perhaps that she's probably just a woman, a trans woman, and who knows? It's because that Araki hasn't really been a bit more obvious with it, or he hasn't just explained it downright. And in this chapter, we got a bit more insight, but still a bit more muddied as what is Dragona's specific pronouns or gender identity. If I had to guess, she's perhaps non-binary. However, because we haven't gotten much confrontation confirming anything from Araki, I'm just gonna leave it as perhaps that she's just a trans woman for now. So I'll be titling her as she and her throughout this video, if y'all are comfortable with that, until we get a bit more information on her character. However, this first part of the chapter had to be easily the hardest thing to watch. I feel bad for Dragona in this flashback. It was definitely heartbreaking to see how much like that asshole female was just being such a dick to her for some reason. And then that part where she puts the clamper on her nipple, and that panel, when I got to that panel, I literally let out a audible grunt, like a because that I like a swamp, like I felt that shit. That I never had that pain, but for some reason the way Araki drew it, I fucking felt it. I swear, when Araki sometimes draws certain things, I just feel it, even though I personally never went through it. This is an example right here. Every time I see that part, I feel like I felt it. And there, when I saw it on just a page, I fucking felt it. And it was just downright horrible what they did. And then we get Jodio, who does easily. I'm sorry if I'm clicking through my notes over here. My bad. And then we get Jodio, who does one of the craziest shit. He comes up behind the female bully, and basically, they're all like, hey, what are you doing here? Aren't you an elementary school student? And then, he's like, oh, I'm here to meet my big bro. And then they're like, and then this is the part I'm a bit more confused about. The bully brings up big brother, don't you mean sister? This is the part that confuses me. Earlier in there, we see that Dragona is at that is playing volleyball at the pool, and she isn't wearing a bra or anything. And we don't see any modifications that we see her with in this part at all that make her anywhere from what we recognize Dragona from the part. However, if I had to guess, this before she transitioned, or perhaps had ideas of transitioning and perhaps tried to wear certain clothing or things to give the impression to people that she's perhaps testing out or transitioning. I actually don't know. This is a bit more of a confusing part. And who knows, maybe Araki will explain much more further down the part. Who knows? I'm still a bit more confused on that. But then Dragona walks home with Jodio, and then basically Jodio already knows that she's unfortunately being bullied, and Jodio the next day sets the bus on fire, and it's one of the freakiest moments. And this is where I want to get into the second part, and that is Jodio as a character is easily one of the most morally gray and psychotic characters that we had in JoJo's in terms of a protagonist, a good guy. This is our good guy, someone who is fine with setting a bus on fire. Johnny did some deplorable shit during his time in Steel Ball Run. However, he would I don't think Jodio would be Johnny Joestar would be very quick to set on fire a bus filled with people. And I know the bully was there and there was other people who were as well bullying. However, there could also be people involved who perhaps didn't have anything to do with the bullying. So this is literally just assaulting everyone else and everyone who had nothing and anyone who perhaps had nothing to do with it. However, if I had to look at it through Araki's perspective, maybe everyone was just completely assholes in the situation, except for the guy who was like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?" But still, that is a very evil fucking deed, and it is very surprising that Araki is really showing us the mental works that Jodio goes through just to help his family. He will do very extreme actions just to help his family. And I think this is going way more further away from what Giorno would do or Johnny, because the thing is that I'm seeing Jodio as a mixture between Johnny Joestar's morally gray actions and his the murderous intent part, and with Giorno's psychotic episodes with certain people who get in his way of his dreams or motivations and goals. I see as Jodio as being a mixture of all of that, and perhaps that's probably the case because Jodio and Giorno, and the thing as well is that I think Araki's taking more of that into making a character that makes us question if he's really the good guy, because he's doing literally stuff that is deplorable. And the closest thing we can even admit to someone who would do anything close to that is maybe Anasui. Anasui's a psychotic character as well, who's accepted as one of the protagonists of the series. And I kind of just see this as a way of Araki exploring more of our morally gray ways of how each part of JoJo gets more kind of morally gray with every passing part. With part 7, we had Johnny Joestar with his kind of murderous intent and his like quick actions for anyone who gets in his way of achieving what he wants, or with everyone in part 7 having their own goals and ambitions, really more of themselves, and individualism type of part. And then part 8, we have a more of a different type where Josuke could be seen as more of a good guy than Johnny was. He's there for him. He's there to help people. He's there for himself, of course, and he does do some very fucked up shit to the rock humans. However, he's not very quick to actions to people who have nothing to do with the situation. He mostly hurt people who hurt him or Yasuo, and he does care for other people as well besides Yasuo. He cares for Holly Joestar, and he cares for everyone, the Higakatata. I still don't know how to say their name. The family in part 8. He still cares for them. He still cares for the people around them. And I think he's a bit more of a morally good character compared to Johnny, who was a bit more rash in his decision making. And then we get to but in that same part, I'm sorry. But in that same part, we also had Jobin, who's the most morally great character we had up to this point in the franchise. He is someone who's stuck between working with the rock humans and not wanting to start anything with his family and Josuke. He's someone who works in the dark and doesn't want anything wrong happening to the family. At the end of the part, everything just falls apart. And perhaps kind of a way of Araki showing us just his death reflecting on the way he lived his life. He lived his life in the middle, never knowing which path to take, and he always said he's taking the good path. He's taking the good path. It's the same way how Funny Valentine would say this is the righteous path. I'm on the righteous path, making Johnny Joestar question it. And this is where it comes back to here, where Jodio might be the one who completely destroys that framework of paths in general, because his actions have very dangerous outcomes, and it comes back to bite him with the bus incident. And I think it's going to feed more into the part, and this is where I get to my third part. The bus incident does come back, and it comes back in a way that I think will play into a big part in the theme, or perhaps an event. There is a part where Jodio's dad has to pay insurance money to the bus company, and it's a very overly complicated process. Those who read it already know. I don't want to explain it, but we see that Dragona brings up how this has nothing to do with the bus incident had nothing to do with us, but it did come back to them. It did come back to them. The same way how the lava rock makes fortune come back to them, monies and riches. And it's it's a way that I see the lava rock as a physical manifestation of the flow, or perhaps calamity. It's like how the saint's corpse could be seen as a physical manifestation of the positive flow energy, in a way, in the world of JoJo's. How there's a light and dark that is confirmed in this new universe. There's calamity and there's the flow. And with that, I see the lava rock as perhaps being a mixture of that. And the bus, in a way, is coming back to Jodio biting him. And it's the same way how with the lava rock, you have diamonds and stuff coming back to them as well. It's very interesting to see that coming, and I think it's feeding into a way more bigger thing that I still don't know yet. I swear. The thing I love about this part is that this part is so unpredictable that anything could happen in this part. I was expecting Charming Man to perhaps do a fight or arc. Nope. We instead get a backstory, and it's feeding more into, in my opinion, not only great character development, and more into the concept of morality in the new universe, but as well with the way the flow works in this new universe. It's very interesting. And yeah, that'll about do it for this chapter review. This has been very fun as of late to do. Even though it's been very hard on me as of late, I am glad to be able to at least read Jojolands. Jojolands is just kind of like my purity. Even if it's a bad chapter or something, I enjoy at least a Jojolands chapter, even if it's average or bad. But so far we haven't gotten a bad one, so I'm glad about that. So yeah, really great chapter. I love it. I enjoyed it a lot. And quick question for y'all who have made it this far in the video, or perhaps clicked off. Have y'all been enjoying the short films or the random content y'all have been getting? I'm sorry for that. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like I've been kind of wanting to explore a bit more, and hopefully y'all are enjoying it. But give me a bit of that. Give me a bit of some feedback. But hopefully y'all had a wonderful day. Hopefully y'all had a great time watching this video. And yeah, hopefully to see you on the next JoJo Bizarre Adventure topical review. And yeah, see ya.